Why can't we just add a button that does something? That is a question a lot of developers or engineering teams will get during the lifetime of an application. To answer that question, I have to talk about one thing first: trust. 18 months ago, I went for a quest of buying a new car, and I ended up with a brand new deep blue Volkswagen Polo, straight from the factory. And it was straight from the factory because now I can blindly trust it. I can trust it so much that I only have to make sure that there's enough gasoline in the tank, and even if I go on the highway for miles and miles and miles from A to B, I do not have to be afraid that it will break down. I can trust it blindly. However, if we would take that same car and 20 years old, would I still be able to trust it that much? So a 20-year-old blue Volkswagen Polo, how can I trust that one? How can I trust the owner that sells me that car? Is it the only owner? Are there a couple of owners before it? And is the machinery still up to date? Did it have regular maintenance? Did it have new parts? Etc. Would I be able to trust it? Maybe if I knew the history, or there was a piece of paper that showed me how the service history was, then I might be able to trust it. But again, even if I trust it, I know nothing about cars. So I trust the people that worked on my car. I trust the engineers. My name is Brian Vermeer, and I'm a developer advocate for Snyk. And today I'm going to tell you something about software development. A story. So, software development, 9 out of 10 times it starts with a small project, a proof of concept, a POC or an MVP or however you might call it. A small project that is bound to a certain scope and perfectly does what it needs to do. Like this little shed I show you here. Small, tiny, exactly fit for purpose. Over time, when this thing, this POC, this MVP is in production, they might come up to you and ask you like, hey, can we add this little button that does X? And at this point in time, it's not such a big deal. Maybe it's a bit out of scope, but we can add a little feature on that thing that we just built. However, it might be out of scope, but hey, we're agile, right? Once this one is in production, over time, new feature requests will come. And as they might be there under pressure, it might be totally legitimate to add another small feature on top of something that's already existing. But it's actually out of scope. Still, as we can make profit out of it, we do it. And we end up with something like this. Might not be the nicest solution, but we can manage. Over time, management will come up to the teams and say, from a business perspective, this makes total sense if I can add this new feature on top of what you built, because then our customers can do a bunch of things from the same application. And you started growing the application, although the foundation was not meant to be this big. You're starting building houses on top of this shed, houses on top of houses, etc. In the end, you will be ending up with such a big application because we think that we can build on top of anything. We end up with something that rules the world, that one ring to rule them all, can fly helicopters and talk to outer space. Point is that from a perspective of building a physical building, this doesn't make sense. However, we make that same mistake over and over again when we are building software, aren't we? So, main question is, this is the way how bugs come into place, how security issues will be there. This is not good for the quality of your application. And if we ask that question, why can't we add that button that does X? In that last stage, it's basically, we can't add that button because then the helicopter cannot fly anymore. Or better said, we cannot add this button because the engineering team tells you it's not feasible. Because the engineers are telling you you can't. Thank you for your